Good morning, Gjallarhorn. Welcome back for the second episode of the show. I've got with me my faithful sidekick, Mr. Drew, the Birdman near Alcatraz Bunting. How you doing, Drew?
Doing very well. How are you doing, David?
I'm doing great. How are the birds?
I love the guitar intro on the music.
Oh, cool.
I keep waiting for Lane Staley to bust out some rooster. They're doing well. They're being quiet for now.
That's good. How many do you have?
7.
What types?
6 too many.
What?
Just kidding. I got 3 African grays, severe macaw, umbrella cockatoo, and 2 little parrotlets.
Oh, cool.
That somebody abandoned, and so we took them in.
So that's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. They're a very weird flock, but that means they fit right into this household.
All right. Well, let's get this thing started.
Let's jump in. Let's do it.
Earlier in the week, Matthew Coller of 1500 ESPN wrote a piece on Xavier Rhodes, but it was Xavier Rhodes talking about Mike Hughes, our number 1 draft choice. And so I wanted to discuss Mike Hughes and his importance and where he may fit in to the team's plans.
Okay.
He was drafted first round, as everybody knows. Everybody was screaming for an offensive lineman. It looked like the offensive linemen of choice were already gone by the time the Vikings got a chance to choose, or they thought somebody else would be available further down the line. So they went with what I think is the best player available in a need, because we had only come into the season with 4 corners on the roster, and we needed more. And we were looking at Xavier Rhodes, obviously, shutdown corner, best corner in the NFL. Trey Waynes, who's been improving, who is one of the best run stoppers there is. Hopefully he gets his pass pro a little bit better, as you put it, learns to flip his head when the ball's in the air. And Alexander. So we needed somebody else. They picked Mike Hughes out of UCF. Central Florida. Right. He had played there a year, and he had demonstrated that he was that good. And we know that Coach Zimmer is an absolute defensive back guru.
Sure. I mean, that's why he started building this team around it. The secondary was his first concern the moment he walked into the door, I think.
Well, and as our good friend Dr. Eager tells us, the most important positions on the field next to the quarterback is the cornerback. So they selected Hughes, and they've stuck him in the slot. He's playing about 50-50 in the slot and outside.
Which he didn't do in college.
Nah, he played, 4 or 20 reps in college in the slot. But that wasn't, it was insignificant. It was like less than 4%. Or in the slot position is so much different. It's almost a hybrid outside linebacker type spot / defensive back. Because in the 4-3, sometimes the outside linebacker has the flats for covering. Inside linebackers would have across the middle. What a slot corner does is he's got, if a slot receiver lines up, he's got that area of responsibility for whichever way the receiver goes. So he's reading the receiver. He may drop off into a zone after that, It depends on the defensive call, but it's basically that. So he's watching that receiver. Is the receiver breaking to the outside, or is the receiver looking to go across the middle? That is a very, very difficult position to play.
Sure.
Because you don't have that sideline on the edge to act as a wall. You're out in the field. Plus, on top of that, you're reading the run play option, right, to come up and stuff a run if it's necessary on your side. So that's one reason why I think they picked Hughes. Can you think of another?
Yeah, I have a little bit of a theory on this of why they took him. First off, everybody flipped out because we didn't take Hernandez. That's who everybody wanted. They wanted O-line. Hernandez fell to us. He's the best guard in the draft besides Quentin Nelson. So everybody had to have the shock treatment right off the bat. I have a feeling Zimmer chose Hughes. This is what my thought is. He wants to get him in there at slot, and he wants to go with Rhodes, Waynes, and Hughes. And if something happens to one of our outside guys and they get a little dinged up, who's he replacing him with? A stud-ass corner whose natural position is outside corner. So he's not losing anything. I think that he's almost drafted as a insurance policy to keep them all three on the field at the same time. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to learn the slot position right away, but if they got him in there at slot right now, learning it, something happens, with Waynes, you push Hughes to the outside, bring Alexander in. I think it's all a depth thing. I mean, who knows? Hughes may end up being one of the two starting outside corners. But in my mind, I'm thinking that's what Zimmer wants. Zimmer wants even more insurance of. I think the one thing he's learned overall with this team is I can't have shit depth. I can't lose an offensive lineman and bring in Clemmings. I think he's learned that. So he knows he can't have scrub people backing up his starters. So why else would you draft a guy who's primarily an outside corner and then start practicing him at slot?
Well, I think there's another reason, and that has to do with the new kickoff rules. One of the positions that Hughes played in college was as a kick and punt returner.
Very good one, too.
He was very good. And if the new kickoff rules go into effect, and I think coming up to the draft, the NFL was already talking about it. I'm sure the teams had a heads up of the direction they were going with it, that they looked at that as also an opportunity to draft Mike and get him possibly to play that kickoff returner. We haven't had an outstanding kickoff returner since Cordero Patterson. Of course, he's long gone. So if we can bring that back, part of the game back, if we do get a return, if we can bring that dynamic play back, we can set up the offense with better field position.
Sure, it's a dynamic play, but how often are you going to be returning kicks? I mean, it's getting phased out.
But with the new one, we might get more action than we did before. If we get a decent kick return, say 30 yards or better, at least once a game, that advantages the offense. Now, if he goes to the house, obviously that advantages the whole team because that's points on the board. But if he goes more than 30 yards, he catches the ball, say right at the goal line, and goes more than 30 yards, that's better than the 25-yard if it went through the goal, if it went through the end zone. So that's 5 yards closer to the end zone. That ups the probability that we will score, mathematically wise. And if you play the numbers,
yeah,
it maximizes it. That's the only other reason I see him being drafted.
I don't think it's worth the gamble, though. There's a reason you see all these teams, their kickoff returner is their third string wideout. There's a reason for that. You don't see Julio Jones running back kickoffs or, Cooper from the Raiders or any of those other guys, because if he gets hurt, it's the third string wideout. That was the luxury with Patterson. If he gets hurt, he's not even playing wideout. You get your stud corner hurt on a kick return. No, that's. I mean, you can get hurt on any play, but that's a tough one. That would suck.
Yeah, but there's been other players that have done it. There's the king of it, Deion Sanders.
once in what, 50 years?
It's a possibility. And as a rookie, he may not earn his starting job until further in the season. We know that Zimmer goes slow with his corners.
I'm not saying your point doesn't make sense. I'm just saying it's a big gamble. He is a guy that we are going to need to perform on defense. I don't think he's going to sit all season like Wayne's did. And I think Zimmer's going to throw him to the dogs and say, we got to get this Super Bowl this year. We need your ass to step it up.
Well, and I hope so. And I hope he does.
Oh, me too. I mean, if he works out to be the slot corner, he's going to put him wherever he's the best. I think he's going to end up being the starting corner opposite of Rhodes. That's what I think.
Yes. Well, I think so, but maybe not this year. Maybe next. So,
sure.
But we'll see. As quite a few of you know, we have a group on Facebook that we chat regularly with. People that we've grown to love over the years. We put out a segment to ask for questions, and we wanted to move into that segment. So,
yes, let's do it.
Without further ado,
list of questions.
Drew, you started out.
I will start it out. This is from Mary, longtime Viking fan, over 50 years, I might add. She asked the question, can you discuss the time length and the patience that Viking fans will have with the new quarterback, Dreamy Cousins? I added the Dreamy in there. Mary didn't, but I think she knows he's dreamy. Do we expect immediate success, or are we prepared for this offense to take some time to play as a winning unit? Back to you.
There is going to be high expectations. They're going to expect winning early. Now, I suspect that there'll be some little bit of leeway at the very beginning, but if we start out 0-4, forget it. They're going to be calling for his head. If we're going to win more than 10 games, you can't lose them all up front because our schedule's too tough.
That's a great point.
You're going to have to start winning pretty much out of the chute. Now, the only advantage of this is some of the other teams we're playing are also coming in with the offenses gelling at similar paces. Now, I do believe that Kirk Cousins is extremely talented. Couldn't be even more talented. The guy has a compact throw that can zip the ball in a hurry. And when we get into the offensive style of play, that's going to help. The quick thinking, the quick reads, the quick dish of the ball, getting it to an open receiver is going to be fantastic. Is there going to be pressure early? Oh, heck yes. And it will probably be maintained throughout the season. But unless we uncharacteristically start poorly with a bunch of losses that aren't blamed on anything else, like half the defense getting injured or something like that.
Correct.
It's all on him.
Okay. Good answer. I do not disagree with any of it. 0-4. Oh my God, they're going to burn the stadium down.
Oh yes, they would.
Crazy.
All right, our second question, and it's a whole series of questions. Our buddy Denver. Not that he's a Denver fan. That's just his name. This is a pretty cool name, I guess. Wonder if his parents named him after John Denver. Who knows?
Maybe they had a good time up in the Rocky Mountains.
Possibly. Could be.
They had to name him Denver. Rocky Mountain High. All right, go ahead.
All right. His first question is, which of the drafted players might not make the squad?
Which of the drafted players what?
Might not make the squad.
I would have to say Hughes, O'Neal, Jalen Holmes, there's your first three. They're all making it. Conklin's going to make it at tight end because DiFilippo he would have 19 tight ends if he could. Carlson, the moment you trade up to get a kicker, he's on the team. If you take a 7th round scrub from Bologna Tech and he doesn't kick very well, you get rid of him. Nobody notices. Say la vie. You draft a kicker and you move up to draft that kicker, he's your kicker. Forbath probably started packing a duffel bag the moment he was selected. Carlson will make the team. And I think Gossett not only makes the team, he ends up being our right guard before the end of the season's up. I really like that guy. I think the top 6 make it.
Okay. That's pretty much what I think too. The other guys, if they're lucky, put through a good show and make the practice squad, preferably.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Bruna. I had him on my board pretty good. He's a good dude, so I hope he gets a shot.
Well, and defensive end and the rotation will play into that. But they're going to have to show themselves. And so far through OTAs, we're not hearing much, but I'm sure they are absolutely overwhelmed at this point. It's a huge jump from the college level to the NFL level, and they're learning and getting their feet underneath them. Another Denver question is, who of the undrafted free agents, and we had a couple big names in there, might make the team or should make the team?
I'll give you the two that the Drewster is high on. Of course, there's Holton Hill. Now, listen, Holton Hill not only will make the Vikings, he has the potential of being the best undrafted free agent out of any team. He's that talented. He's a third-round guy. I think the Vikings' thought process was he's got the weed problem, and he can't stay off the ganja. The Vikings' thought process was if we take him in the third and he flames out, pun intended, then we wasted a third or fourth round pick. If he makes it through the whole draft and doesn't get drafted, and we take him as an undrafted free agent and he flames out on the hippie lettuce, then that's it. We don't lose much because we're losing an undrafted free. You know what? Guys usually drop 1 or 2 rounds with the drug thing hanging over their head, like Randy Gregory did. My point is they usually drop a round or 2 or maybe 3 at the most. When you drop as a third round potential all the way out of the draft, that's not good. That means you're Josh Gordon without the background already. So he's got to stay clean. Somebody's got to give him the talk saying, dude, this is it for you. If you screw this up, you're at a Jiffy Lube or playing in the Arena League. He needs to know that.
Well, exactly. And I agree with you. He's got immense talent and
super talented guy.
And easily make the squad. He's got the size. If I remember correctly, he's like 6'2". So 6'2" at a corner, and he's got the speed.
Oh, he hits you too. The hitter.
You can never have enough corners, like we said last week.
He is fantastic. He was like in my top, I think he was top 6 on my Drew draft board as a safety. My other guy is the running back from Jacksonville State, Rock Thomas. Now, this guy is a great change of pace running back. His only problem is he needs to be coached up. He's very undisciplined. He's impatient. He always wants to make the 80-yard run when you could just make the 8-yard run, and it hurts him. It hurts his decision-making process. Not that, wanting to take it to the house is bad every play, but you got to look at it from a different standpoint. The guy can play in this league. He is a great running back. And he was number 15 on my Drew big board for running backs. I like me some Rock Thomas. He can tote the rock. Meow, meow. I think those are the two. Those are the two I think have a chance.
Outstanding. Well, I think there's a couple of receivers that could also make it. Jeff Badgett out of Oklahoma. And, of course, the local boy. Yeah, Jake Weineke, South Dakota State. Now, everybody's going to be rooting for him. Those 4, I agree with you, have an opportunity. They will be fun to watch in camp.
Got a question here from Ted Glover. He wants to know if your beard gives you superpowers.
Absolutely, baby. Absolutely.
That's great. Oh, what a question. He has a question. He has another question. Was the 2017 season a success or a failure? Regardless of your answer, explain why. Thanks, Ted.
I'm going to call it a success. Now, granted, we were all disappointed that we got trounced in the NFC Championship game. But nobody thought after Bradford went down with his knee injury and Teddy was still rehabbing that we basically had a chance. We had picked Case Keenum up as a perennial backup. He hadn't done anything actually spectacular so far in his career. And we figured, hey, if he can win half his games while Bradford was hurt, we're okay. I mean, that's what you want from a backup quarterback.
Sure.
Well, he went out and won a ton more than half. The defense stayed healthy the whole time, virtually. It's just, to me, it was a success. It showed that the system works, that the plan in place, how Coach Zimmer wanted it and how Coach Shermer wanted it, worked. I think towards the end, they got tired, and I think Philadelphia may have figured out some of the reads or some of the tells on the Zimmer defense and took advantage of it. But I think that's all going to be resolved this time because, one, we got DiFilippo as our new offensive coordinator, and 2, that Zim still wants to play and experiment with those extra corners. And I think it's going to evolve to be even better than it was. So I think it was a success. It was a success in the building process. Plus, it leaves a bitter, bitter, bitter taste in the player's mouth that they got so close. I think they're going to use that as motivation this season to push it over the top.
I think it was also a success. I mean, you can go back and have the early 80s Vikings if you want. We were getting blown out every week. We had a lot of wins. We were in a lot of games, but rest assured, even if they remedy some of those problems you just mentioned, we're Viking fans. New problems are going to pop up. That's how we roll. I mean, come on, you can't deny that. No, we're the team that has to overcome everything. But I think it was a great success. I enjoyed last season. I enjoyed watching the games, and we got a lot further than I thought we would. But I have more pressure on this team this year.
Well, and it's well deserved. And the last one goes out to our last question of the day goes out to our birthday boy. Today happens to be his birthday, or the day we're recording. So what new wrinkle do you think new offensive coordinator DiFilippo will bring to the offense? Would you really like to find a way to get a third receiver more involved? And it seems no matter what receiver we bring in free agency or through the trade, they've been a non-factor, a.k.a. Greg Jennings, Mike Wallace, and drafted Laquan Treadwell, affectionately referred to in the group as Tree Stump.
What a great question. Happy birthday, Kyle. He loves the tight end. The 2 tight end sets is going to be in this year for Minnesota. I just don't know if it's Conklin or Rudy, or who's the other, Morgan or Rudy, or I don't know what the combination is going to be, but the third receiver, are we ever going to get this figured out? Wright is probably in the driver's seat now. I don't know why Treadwell can't get it done. I've given up trying to figure it out. The wrinkles to the offense, I think, is just going to be the bigger playbook.
I think Coach DiFilippo comes from a long line of West Coast coaches. He's seen a bunch of other stuff he's incorporated. It's a quick movement, quick decision offense. And I think you'll see the speed pick up this season. And I do agree with you that he's going to get the tight ends more involved. He's also going to get, especially Dalvin Cook, out in the receiving game more. I think we're going to be more effective. I think it's going to be a good year. I think we're going to move up to top 10 status. It may not be top 5, but it may be, around the 8 range, somewhere in there. And if we do that, especially with quality of our offensive line, we've done well. And if you take that in the number 1 defense, there's no reason why we can't go all the way.
Kind of all flops back on the O-line. Did they do enough? Have they done enough? Do they have an offensive line that's going to grade out to be better than 25th?
Well, I have faith. It'll be the second year they're working together.
I have faith, too.
I have faith.
Why? You're wearing that new Viking shirt. I've never seen you wear a new shirt in my life.
Well, this is one my daughter gave me for my birthday.
I guarantee you're not mowing the lawn. Not mowing the lawn in that baby.
No, I'm not.
It looks good.
So that should do it for today's episode. I want everybody to enjoy their morning, their day, their week.
91 days.
Absolutely. So let's talk some Vikings football and enjoy. So what do we say, Drew?
Meow, meow, Viking cow.
Boo-ah. Skol, everybody. You can find me, David Stefano, on Twitter at Luft_Krieger. That's LUFT_KRIGARE. Thank you for enjoying the show. And if you'd like more Vikings-related football news and podcasts, Join us over at the Climbing the Pocket Network. Enjoy.